Now, summary number 3, yes, the Cherokee leaves their land. As you can notice, we are continue talking about the Cherokees. Last week, we talked about the Cherokees, so we have been talking about Cherokees since last week. Now, what themes or what information you remember about the Cherokees?
Que tenían, su propio lenguaje.
Their system, a language system, that's right. Do you remember the name of that language?
No, the name, no, but.
Okay, remember that it was the Sequoia. The Sequoia is the name of the language. That's right, Khaled. They have the language, the Sequoia, but also they learned the English. Remember, they learned the English and also their own system, the Sequoia. Now, what else you remember?
Live in the United States?
Yes, they are considered the first Indians, the first Native American Indians in the United States. So they were located, remember, in the southern Appalachia in the United States. They were located in that place. And they have to do different activities like planting or like having different crops like corn, beans, squash. That was one of the activities that Cherokees had. Now, they hunt also. Besides having different crops, they like to hunt. They like to fish. But if you remember the last class, I tell you that they were forced to do or they were ordered to do a different activity by the President Washington, George Washington. He says, stop hunting and try to focus more on farming instead of hunting. Do the farm out, just farm. So that was in order for the president in those times.
Lo que quiso decir en español que George Washington dijo que no querían que casen ni maten, no sea que no casen animales ni maten. ¿Por qué no mejor probar, cómo se llama?
Just farming. Yes, but remember that is not just for killing the animal. There was this order for the president because the Cherokee, they were having a problem with the new settles. So that George Washington, the president, tried to like to stop this conflict that they have. But remember, Cherokee were forced to leave or to give up the land that they had. So they moved from the southwest. Remember that they were from the southern Appalachian. So they moved to the western. They moved from the place that they used to live to a north to stop or to the conflict, right? Because of these traders. So remember that some of the changes or some of the activities that the Cherokees do were build the large farms. They went to school. I was mentioned, they learned English, the Sequoia alphabet. So they have their own system. Now, let's talk about the Cherokee lives their land. How they live their land? They move from the southern to the western.
Can you share the Sequoia alphabet?
The Sequoia alphabet.
Yes.
Okay, maybe later. I think that I have it here in the presentation. So now remember that after the revolution, it was a revolution, so the settlers continued trying to gain the land. They were fighting the land of the Cherokee, the new settlers. So that happened in the early 80s. So the Cherokee decided that forming a new government will help them to hold onto the land. So they say we need to have a government in order to keep the land. So they wrote a constitution in the 1827. They wrote a constitution, and it is said that the land belonged to the Cherokee Nation. So that constitution looked like this. Look at this, the constitutions and laws of the Cherokee Nation, like us, like the American people, they have their own constitutions. So it was like this. Look at this. This is the Sequoia. It's written in the Sequoia alphabet. And here is in English. So they have
Miss, eso
the
lo que quiere decir
constitution.
Constitution and Land of the Cherokee Nation. Eso quiere decir in the Sequoia alphabet.
That's right. It's the same now. It's in the Sequoia alphabet, and this one it's on the in English that you understand the English. But this is in the Sequoia, the alphabet that they have.
Wow.
And here, look at this. This is in English, but here is on Sequoia. This is a Sequoia, and it says the Cherokee Nation. It was formed here in 1827. That was created in the 1827. It was created this Constitution. And basically this Constitution, look at this. One part is in English, one side, and the other side is in Sequoia alphabet. Look that interesting it looks like.
Miss, lo que no entendía Sequoia alphabet have in English, but la gente that
people
know that what is the Sequoia alphabet y qué significa la palabra.
You know what I mean? Yes, they can read it. Remember, they were learning the Sequoia also and also the English, so they can read both. Like you, if you have in Spanish and in English, you can read it both. So the same happens with them. They can read in the Sequoia and also in the English. So basically, this is an example of the Cherokee Constitution that they have. Now, here we have more information that it mentioned. Remember, the Constitution that the Cherokee has, it was similar to the United States Constitution in many ways. The United States, they have a House of Representatives and they have the Senate. And that also was mentioned in the Cherokee Constitution. Also, it was mentioned in the Constitution of the Cherokees, of these people, that the head chief will be elected every 4 years. So every single 4 years, there will be elections to choose the new president of the Cherokee, like here in Honduras also, and like in the United States. So every single 4 years. So that was mentioned in the Cherokee Constitution. So it was like similar. It was like similar to the Constitution of the United States that it's now. And also because it mentioned the House of Representatives and the Senate, that there will be in the Congress. Okay, now let's continue here. We have more information. And it says, remember that they have goals. So they were fighting because of the land. It has different rich things like the gold. So that gold was discovered on the Cherokee land in the 1828. So they were more interested. These people were like, oh, there it's gold, so we need to have and to gain this land. So they forced the Cherokee of their land. So they say, well, we're going to have now the Cherokee land. Look at this. It was the Cherokee land with a lot of gold. Tell me.
Sí, el documento of the Cherokee se fundó in 1827, but the land Cherokee is discovered 1 year.
1 year after, yes, in the 1828 it was, that's right.
Entonces, ¿cómo se sabía de la existencia de los Cherokee?
Okay, the Cherokee, they already know. Remember that they were settlers, they were coming from different places, so they see these people, the Cherokee. The Cherokee, here, imagine this, Colette, in all the class. There were a lot of people living here, just a group of people of Cherokee. And here, other people, they were not Cherokee. Now, these people were walking and walking, and they find out the Cherokee land, and they have their own rules, but the Cherokee have their own rules also. They have their own constitution. These people, they were going here, these settlers, they want the gold. They were like looking for different things that they can make money. In those times was the gold. So they find out that the Cherokee land contains a lot of gold. So they say, well, we need to have this gold. We need to have this land. And so let's give the chance to Cherokee to move to another place. But it wasn't like in a piece, like I'm saying, oh, Khaled, can you move, please? Because I want to have the gold that you have. You're not going to say that to the other person, right? They were fighting for that gold. They were fighting for that gold. You're not going to say, Khaled, can you give me the gold that you have? In those times, they were not like polite. They were fighting for that. They were forced to give up the land because of the Seros once they want to have this gold. So
pero si es amable,
now, yes, because we have to follow the rules, the constitution. But those times in the 1828, these people were fighting. They were hunting. Now you don't see people hunting. It's so weird to see a person that it's going away to hunt. You don't see every single day a person that's going to hunt to have food in their houses. No, right? You just go to the supermarket and you have the food and you buy the food. But you're not going to, I want to eat chicken. I'm going to hunt the chicken. All right. Okay, so in those times, yes, it was normal, it was common. So in the 1828, they found it out. Look at this, the settles with the Cherokee. So they were forced, they were fighting to have that place. You see, even the kids, they were forced. The Cherokee is the people that you see that they have like, they are wearing this type of clothes, like normal, yes, they are with this color. The people that are in blue, they were the settles. They were forced, the settles. The people that they want to, like, new explorers, we can say as a synonym, like new explorers of the land. Now, in the 30s, look at now in the dates. In the 1830s, the United States government ordered the Native American groups of the region, including the Cherokee, to give up their land. So they were forced. The government in those times in the 1830s says, Cherokees, you need to give up the land. And also the Native American groups would occupy the new territory west of the Mississippi River. So they were forced to move from that place that they live, of the Cherokee families they live, to the west, where is now Oklahoma. So now they were in Oklahoma, so to the Indian Territory. So look at this. It was here, now you see different Native Americans.
Look, Cherokee Cree.
The Cherokee, yes, the Cherokee Cree. So they were forced to move. They were forced to move. They were like this in the southwest, and then they were forced to move to the east. The west, and here you see the difference, Dakota, Comanche, different Native American tribes, yeah, beside the Cherokee, that they were in America, that they were forced to move to the Indian Territory. So they moved to the Indian Territory where there were other Indian tribes. And as you can notice here, it's the Cherokee Creek. So they move. Look at here on the map. They were forced to move to the Indian Territory that is here. So all this, and then the previous picture that I showed you, all these Native American and all the Cherokees that they live, they were forced to move and to follow different, the Creek, the Chickasaw, the Cherokee that is on the blue, that they were here like in Georgia. They moved to the Indian Territory. All these groups, they moved to the Indian lands before they were relocated to another place. So to this side, place. So they were forced to move. The old people, the young people, all the people of the Native Americans and Cherokee tribes, they were forced to move. Okay, now in this way, they were forced to move. It was not in a peace way that they want to move, or they want to travel to another place. They were forced. So in this forced to walk hundreds of miles without enough food or warm clothing, they were dying. Some Cherokees were dying because they don't have enough food. They were walking. They don't have cars in those times, so they were walking. Imagine walking days. That food, it wasn't enough. Maybe it was raining, so they were dying. Different people were dying different ways. So the journey, it was called the Trail of Tears because of that reason, because the Cherokee were dying. Look at this, the pictures. Some people, well, if they have some animals, well, they can be riding the animals like the horses, but not all the people they have in those times. Look at this. So they were in the Trail of Tears, because most, look at this person, it might be a girl or a boy. It's crying. So the Trail of Tears, it's a girl, it might be an old girl. Yes. So they're crying. Look at here. They might be a person that is dead. So a lot of people were dying, so they were crying. That's why it was called the Trail of Tears. They were crying because of the relatives. Imagine going to here walking and you see one of your family dying in this trail. It was going to be so sad. So that's why the Trail of Tears was called this way. Yes. Look at this. These people, some of them, they can have clothes to get warm, but not all of them. Difficult moments they pass just because they were forced to give up their lands. Now, I have a video. I'm going to show you this video. I'm going to display a video, so pay attention. You're sad? Okay, let's watch this video. It's about the Trail of Tears. Pay attention to this. Okay, class, that was just like giving more information about the route that they followed and about the Tears of Tribes. Now, Tears. Here, just to finish with the information, here we have the Cherokee that traveled to Oklahoma and became known as the Western Cherokee. So here we have different Western Cherokee nation, different like of the process that they have of this Cherokee. Having here, we have the seal of the Southern Cherokee Nation that it was in the 1817. This was in 1834. Next, the Northern Cherokee that it was in the 1983. And it must be the present, the seal of the Eastern Band of the Cherokee Indians. And here you see that it was in the 1889. And we have like, it has like the Sequoia alphabet here. We don't know what it might be saying here in this part. Okay, now for the soldiers, and also, sorry, here we have the Koala boundary. What it's mentioning here about the Koala boundary? It says that together, the Western and Eastern Cherokee are now the largest Native American group in the United States. They exist in the United States. Not a lot of people of this, but they exist in the United States, some of the Cherokee. And they live on the Koala boundary. That is the Cherokee reservation in the Western in North Carolina. So they have their own reservation to protect their lives and also their culture in the Koala boundary. And here it's located, the map of the Koala boundary. What is located here? It's here. Here more deep. Koala boundary. Now let's copy this in the notebook class. We're going to copy some of these questions and some answer about the summary number 3. And it says, when was the Cherokee Constitution written? Who remembers the date of the Constitution that it was written? Who knows? Khaled, your microphone is off.
1827.
1827 it was written. Let's check the answer, and that's okay. Excellent. In the 1827, thank you, Colette, it was written the Constitution. It was written this Constitution of the Cherokees. Number 2, how was the Cherokee Constitution similar to the USA Constitution? How was similar?
Los escudos, no sé, era escudos creo que
The shield, do you think that it was similar? The Constitution, the Cherokee Constitution was similar, remember, because they talk about that the president can be chosen every 4 years.
La región, o sea, donde estaba eso es lo que quería decir.
Every 4 years they choose a president. So it was similar of nowadays, every single 4 years they choose a new president, and also because it talks about a Senate and a House of Representatives, like the Constitution that the United States has. What happened in the 1820, 1 year after the Constitution was written?
The Cherokee, los estadounidenses descubrieron la Cherokee land.
The Cherokee land, do you think that the settlers?
Yes.
Or, okay, yes, their lands. And also remember, because of the gold that they discovered, they forced the Cherokee off their lands. Excellent. That happened 1 year after the Constitution was written, the 1828. The settlers were determined to force Cherokee off their lands because the gold was discovered. Number 4, what did the United States government order in the 1830s, 2 years after it happened?
Pasó a war for the gold. Se pasó una guerra por el oro.
The gold, that was in the 1828. But in the 1830, remember that the government, the president of the United States and the president of the Congress also in order that all the Native Americans, including the Cherokee, they have to give up their land. They have to move. They have to move to another place to live. They have to give up their lands. That was illegal, but they did it. They forced these people to move to another place. Number 5, why was the Cherokee journey to Oklahoma called the Trail of Tears? Who remember this answer? Trail of Tears. Why it was called in this way? Remember that a lot of people were dying because they don't get warm. So, and also they were walking miles, hundreds of miles or thousands of miles walking, and they don't have, even they didn't pack some of these things, so they were forced to move like one day by the other. So they were dying. They didn't get warm. They don't have a lot of food to eat, so they were dying when they were walking. Tell me, Khalid.
Only me are participants.
Yes, you remember the information. And now, number 6, where do many... Yeah. Where do many Cherokee live nowadays? Who remembers where is the place they live nowadays? The Cherokees. At the end, I tell you the place where they are living, in the Pueblo boundary. Remember that is a reservation where they are living now, the Pueblo boundary. So that is the answer, class. Let's copy this in your notebook. Social studies this week, you don't have any homework. So once you finish the copy, you show me your notebook and you're dismissed. You can disconnect.
Yo voy en la 2 apenas.
La 3.
Y ahorita la...